The banking and credit card powers that be have announced a new way to track gun purchases. They've created a new coding system that they claim will allow them to track illegal gun purchases by tracking and flagging every credit card purchase made at legal FFLs. Why? Because historically, mass shooters, like most other American adults, have credit cards. And so credit cards are now the key to stopping violence. Allegedly. Keep watching for the details. Hello, my fellow would-be criminals, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is brought to you by EuroOptic. EuroOptic is veteran-owned and operated, has all your favorite brands of scopes, rangefinders, and binoculars, and all of their sales staff are actual local hunters, shooters, and outdoorsmen. Their inventory is real-time, constantly updating, and they ship everything the same day. Check them out at the link down in the description. So what do New York City, the New York AG, an activist bank, and the California Teachers Pension Fund all have in common?
Well, now I'm on the edge of my seat, so what happened?
They've all been lobbying for credit card companies to either flag or shut down gun purchases, and now they've won. This has been a big project for them since about 2018, when the New York Times ran a series of pieces about how mass shooters have credit cards. And have used credit cards to buy guns and ammo, and so to stop mass shootings, we need to stop people from using credit cards to buy guns. Somehow, this will stop gun violence. But all it would really do is make it so wealthier folks with a big cash roll are the only ones who can buy guns and ammo, like basically every other gun control measure.
Will $5,000 do the trick?
According to the Times, virtually every retailing category in the United States has a code that is attached to each credit card transaction. Hair salons have one code, for example, while movie theaters have another. But until now, there was no code for gun stores, often making those transactions indistinguishable within the financial system from those at a retailer that sold fishing rods or tents. After the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, Congress passed a law aimed at preventing domestic terrorism that generally requires banks to flag suspicious transactions. But banks don't know what individual items were purchased with a credit card or if a retailer is a gun seller. So, naturally, New York City and state officials, a bank named Amalgamated Bank, and the California Teachers Pension Fund, for some reason, have been petitioning the Business Transaction Standardization Organization to create a merchant code specifically for gun stores, so credit card companies and banks can differentiate a gun store purchase from any other standard retailer. Most banks and credit card companies have opposed any efforts to track gun purchases because it's none of their damn business. But Amalgamated Bank, which lauds itself as America's socially responsible bank, originally filed a petition for a new code this past spring, saying it was needed so banks could identify credit risk, which is some absolute bullshit. The International Standardization Organization, or ISO, was like, yeah, no thank you, and rejected it. The International Standardization Organization, or ISO, was like, yeah, no thank you, and rejected it. But now, Woke Bank reapplied, this time backed by some Democrat politicians and a pension fund that should have nothing to do with gun activism. They wrote to the ISO and big credit companies demanding they disclose who opposed the code and who didn't, and now suddenly everyone's on board and the ISO approved the application. Because we all have to do our part to be all up in everyone else's business. Your bedroom, uterus, and school transition closet are off limits, but wallets are, as always, fair game. Because that is leftist politics. So now the ISO has created this new code that is supposed to warn banks and credit cards when a purchase is made at a gun shop. it could be a t-shirt at a gun shop, but you know what? It could be a fully semi-automatic assault t-shirt, and so Visa and Bank of America need to know about it. By the way, you can get your own brand spanking new fully semi-automatic assault t-shirt at the link down in the description.
Moving on.
Priscilla Sims Brown, the president of Amalgamated, said, "The new code will allow us to fully comply with our duty to report suspicious activity and illegal gun sales to authorities without blocking or impeding legal gun sales." But again, if all FFLs are going to be labeled with this code, and all FFLs are presumably following the law and doing background checks, that provides banks and credit cards with zero information except for the names and transactions of legal gun owners. Which, interestingly enough, sounds like something that Congress and the ATF isn't allowed to do. Oh yeah, that registry thing. When it comes to the government, every back door is an entrance, if you know what I mean.
Wink, finger gun.
Originally, major credit card companies said this was all a bad idea, that they're not equipped to monitor gun sales, and that they wanted nothing to do with it. But on Friday, Visa changed its tune and announced they would be the first company to adopt the new code. Of course, Amex and MasterCard have followed suit, but Discover, so far, is still silent. So now, Visa will be monitoring gun retailers, which you have to wonder if that will also include Bass Pro and places like pawn shops. And now, with no other information, these credit card companies will arbitrarily decide something might look suspicious and then is supposed to report it to the cops. All of which will likely just go swimmingly, with hundreds, maybe even thousands of false reports a year, and just as many law-abiding citizens getting caught up in wider and wider regulatory nets. The government might not be able to ban guns outright, but they will deplatform and regulate to death every other aspect of them. Remember, kids, gun control is less about the guns and more about control. That is it for today's video. You guys know the drill about all the algorithm things. Please check out today's sponsor as well as the various support options down in the description, including the tip jar, PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar, and apparently super thanks, which are just super. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and happy shooting.